Lamont Roach. We did a
Right.
prediction, or you did a prediction breakdown, right? And
Hmm.
you were saying like this fight is going to be a lot harder than a lot of people give credit. It's hindsight now. So anyone that called it right, yourself saying that it was going to be a tough fight.
Right.
What did you get from that fight now that it happened?
Um, that well, I mean, I really didn't. To me, it didn't. Nothing happened that was crazy to me. Like nothing that I didn't know because I know that Tank's a great fighter. He's super skillful, and I knew that Lamont is a great fighter and he's skillful as well. Nobody gave him credit. Like only the top level boxers were giving Lamont credit because we all know like Lamont is really one of them guys. Like just because he's not super known, people were like, "Oh, Tank's gonna knock him out." Like I was seeing comments, people were like, "Tank's find another bum, this and that." But the guy is super skillful, and then when he goes in there and has a great fight against Tank, they try to take his credit away, saying Tank had a bad off night or Tank this and that. But Tank fights like that almost every fight. Tank had a great performance still. In my opinion, I really thought the fight was a draw. At the end of the day, I thought they split, so they just got to run it back, and I think it'll be another great fight.
How do you think the rematch goes now? Because it seems like Lamont's been hinting a lot after the whole knee situation, after they try to appeal and it didn't go in that fashion. Plus, it has to be a rematch because they would make so much more money now that people are heavily interested, after the first fight. So is it different, like style wise? Because I know you just said, you see it's still going to be competitive, but is there going to be something where Tank picks up the gas a little bit more? Is it now Lamont's on his back foot versus on his front
Um,
foot?
Honestly, I think it's going to be another great fight, but I can't predict the winner just off the fact that I know one of them is going to go in there with a whole different game plan this fight. Somebody's going to change something up, so we're going to see a whole different fight, but it's still going to be a great fight. So I don't know who's going to win though.
Think it goes decision.
Um, More than likely, yeah, more than
Mhm.
likely. I seen in that first fight that Lamont was able to take Tank's power because he got hit with some great shots, and I was like, oh, he took that like it was nothing.
What do you think about there was a moment where he took a shot, gave a shot, and I think even Tank acknowledged like, yeah, he caught me with a good shot. Like I wasn't hurt, like most fighters would say, and maybe he wasn't, but it caught my attention. He kind of
Tank's a dog, man. Lamont's a dog too, but Tank was getting hit with some pretty nice shots, and he was coming right back as well. So like Tank, he showed that he got a chin on him as well though, because he got caught with some pretty good shots.
you know, by, not looking past, Lamont, right? Because I think going to this fight, I don't know, actually. This is my first time actually researching. Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach rematch odds. Who do you think the favorite's going to be in the
Uh,
rematch?
Tank for sure. Tank for
Right?
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if they even
Just off
have
the fact
odds.
that everyone thinks that Tank had an off night.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even bet, so I don't even know. So, granted, I would assume too that Tank would still be the favorite going into the rematch. But if Tank does get the win against Lamont Roach, right? Did that fight, because you sparred Keyshawn and you sparred Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
I know you probably had a prediction on or a theory on how the fight would have went. Has it changed? And how does Shakur or Keyshawn fare with Gervonta after seeing a fight, a defensively sound guy who has power and has some defense. Tank had to battle a little bit of both. How does Shakur and Keyshawn do against Tank? Or even Lamont, either one of those guys?
I mean that fight didn't change my opinion on that. And I still I still think that Tank is one of the top guys in
Mhm.
the world right now. So just because one fight like that's what's so wrong with boxing. They just judge you off of one fight. And let's say hypothetically he did have a bad night, and then he goes in there and he turns up against Lamar Roach, and let's say he knocks him out or something. Then everybody's gonna be back on the Tank bandwagon. So to me, none changed. I still think that all them fights are gonna be competitive. I'm not just gonna say just because he had a tough fight because he didn't even have a bad performance. He had a tough fight, which was
Hmm.
it was a tough night. So I still got the same opinion that either person that he fights, it doesn't matter who it is gonna be a great fight, and we're all gonna be entertained, and that's all that matters.
You think, because I know styles make fights, but let's just add Tank and Lamont to the equation, right?
Right,
And then let's bring in kind of like your Grand Prix that you're entering, right?
right.
We're bringing out Shakur and Keyshawn. They're not going to fight each other because of, their bond. So how does Keyshawn, like if Keyshawn and Shakur fought like a tag team against Tank and Lamont, does Keyshawn and Shakur get the win? You know, do they slide it or is it 50-50 in your mind? Like how do you think a Tank and Shakur would do against Tank or a Tank and Shakur would do with
Uh,
Lamont?
I think all them fights is 50-50.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I think everything 50-50 for sure.
Um, I know styles make fights. Do you think one fight's a little bit more difficult for a style for either one? Is Keyshawn give Tank a little bit more, versus
Um,
Shakur and vice versa with like Lamont? Is one style a little bit more favorable, I guess?
no, I think it's kind of the same because you got Keyshawn, who's a great offensive fighter, and he got good defense too, though. And then you got Shakur, who's a super great defensive fighter. And honestly, I think that they both have their ups and downs. Like as far as one fighter could have more of an advantage in a certain aspect, but I still think it's a 50-50 either way you go.
You think if Keyshawn and Tank fought, someone's getting knocked out?
Yeah, definitely. And that's like somebody's getting knocked out for sure.
What about Lamont Shakur? You think that would be like a boxing, like a super like sharp like boxing match or
Yeah, yeah. Styles make fights. In my opinion, Lamont's a great fighter, but I think that Shakur wins that.
okay, just based off of just style, that
Yeah,
particular style.
style. Yeah, yeah. Shakur's style for really anybody. You have to be a certain type of fighter to even beat Shakur. Shakur's a great fighter, so it really I don't see him beating. It would take somebody like Keyshawn or Tank to beat Shakur. That's really my 100% honesty.
I'm just curious, why is that? Is it because of what? Power?
Uh, no, I'm not even gonna say power because it don't matter how hard you hit if you can't land your punches on Shakur, then it don't matter at the end of the day. And Shakur's a pretty good offensive fighter too, though.
Mhm.
And everybody just talk Shakur got no power, this and that, but he going in there and beating guys easy. Like it, just imagine how hard it is beating somebody with no power. Then, if that's really what they think, just imagine how great of a fight, or you could see how great of a fighter Shakur is by being able to go in there with messed up hands and still get the job done and beat these guys like it's nothing. So I think I don't know, man. I really hope that we see these fights like this year type, like either this year, next year, latest. We want to see the best fight each other, and that's I think we're gonna get that pretty soon.
Okay. And also when I mentioned power, I obviously know you believe Lamont has power too, because we saw the power in the Tank fight, you
Yeah,
know.
and then oh yeah, like that's what I'm saying too. Like everybody say Lamont don't got power just because of his knockout percentage, but don't none of that matter. Some people take tough fights early on in their career where they're not able just to knock everyone out
Hmm.
because they're taking high risk fights, and a lot of people don't just get knocked out. They don't understand that Tank is like one of the only guys in boxing right now that's putting everybody out. Other than that, it's not. And Virgil Ortiz, like people like that, better be them are the only type of fighters that's knocking everyone out right now. Other than that, it's not a lot of fighters that's just getting everyone out of there.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to just make sure because I think I mentioned I was like, why do you think it would take Keyshawn and Tank? And I mentioned power. And granted, Lamont has power. They all have power. So they all have skill, they all have power. It's just a style matchup, and you're definitely just a fan at this point, and just like, hey, just love to see him get in the ring, and if it
Yeah.
happens, it happens. So awesome.